Welcome everyone to the Exhale Workshop. My name is Eric and you are watching a video today on how to tie bands for your spear gun. Now, I've seen a ton of videos out there explaining how to essentially tie a constrictor knot, which is an essential part of tying your bands, but there's a lot more that goes into it than that. So what I want to do is kind of make a series of videos explaining in each different video, kind of starting at the beginning and ending up with kind of advanced band making techniques. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into how to tie bands. All right, everyone, here we are at the workbench, and what I'm going to be doing today, like I said before, is essentially just describing the basics of band tying. There's a lot more that goes into tying bands than what I'm going to be explaining today. However, you got to start somewhere, and if you've never tied a spear gun band before, this is going to be the video to kind of explain what to do. All right, so first things first, you're going to need some band material. You can buy this stuff in bulk. I sell it here at the shop if you need bulk quantities of spear gun rubber. But the next thing you need is a pair of scissors. Next, you're going to need some kind of cutting utensil. You can use the scissors as well, but I like to have a little knife of some sort to cut tie line with. A tape measure to measure the length of your band. Tooling to get the wishbone slash loops or dyneema inside of the band itself. We'll need some H needles. These are actually made for repairing slash making fishing nets. However, they actually make really handy spearfishing band making utensils. Some sort of lubricant. I like to use this Marine Sports silicone spray. It's really convenient, works well for what I do here at the shop, but you can also just use soapy water or anything like that. Finally, you will need some sort of material to make wishbones out of. The wishbone is the piece that connects between the two ends of the bands and is going to notch into either the shark fin tab or the notch on your shaft. I actually already have a wishbone tied, which is hiding inside of this pile. There we go. We will be doing a video in the future showing all the different types of wishbones you can use, how to make them, what to make them out of, so on and so forth. Since we have it all here in one place, let's go ahead and make a spear gun band. All right, I've got everything else cleared out of the way, and for the starter, we're going to cut our band to length. So this is pretty straightforward. As long as you know the length of band that you need, I will be making a video kind of explaining how to determine what the best size band for your gun is. Tape measures all have this curve in them, which makes it nice to lay the tape measure flat, and the band will kind of just lay in the curve of the tape measure. Now, I am making a 24-inch band out of this black 9/16 material. And all I'm doing here is I actually use my thumbnail to just make a little scuff mark on the band at the measurement that I want. Boom. Now all we're going to do is take our scissors. This is a nice heavy pair of kitchen scissors, but I do prefer a little bit stiffer pair of scissors. These have a lot of flex in the blade, even for like a heavier pair of scissors or whatever. But I do like a stiffer set. I'll show you my next pair of scissors in the next video. But the key here is to just kind of smoothly, in one motion, cut through the band. You don't want to like stagger and hack at it or anything. It just takes one nice, quick, smooth motion to cut those ends off. And you can see the finish there is pretty good. Not bad at all for just a quick chop on the old pair of scissors. Now we're just going to put our wishbone inside of the band. So I'm going to take my silicone spray here, or soapy water, whatever the case may be, and I'm going to shoot some silicone spray down inside of the hole in the band there. Now I'm using this wishbone that I tied right before the video. All this is a piece of dyneema or spectra, whatever you want to call it, and I tied 2 triple overhand knots in either end. This is pretty much what I use for all of my bands, as well as bands I tie for customers. My favorite part about these is they're so easy to put into the bands. You can do it by hand. You don't need anything crazy or special. You do need something to help push it all the way in, but you can insert these things just by hand. Then I like to use a little tool to push this guy all the way in. Now I have this punch that I made. It was just a regular punch that I tapered and sharpened and polished so it's, you know, nice and smooth to get inside of the bands. But Probably the best tool all around to have, because you can use it for all kinds of other stuff, is just a small pair of needle nose pliers. Again, you can push this in by hand, but if you're using thicker material, you might need to grab the knot with the pliers. You can grab it at the base of the knot like that, kind of get the nose of the pliers inside of the inside of the wrap of the knot there, and then you can just push that thing in from there. Use the side of the pliers or one side of the pliers to push it in the rest of the way. So there, our wishbone is now inserted into the band. Next, what we're going to do is tie our constrictor knots on both of these ends, and we'll show you that real quick. Here we have our H needle that I showed you before with some wax tie line attached to it. Now this line is going to be a pretty essential part of tying your bands. The line that I use is specifically a waxed flat line. This is actually loaded with a wax inside and on the outside of the line. And you'll see when we go to tighten our constrictor knots, that wax is going to kind of squeeze out of the line. And where that makes a difference is actually the line itself is really smooth. It's a polyester line. It's not a Dyneema. It's not Spectra or anything like that. A lot of those types of lines actually tend to kind of chew into the band as you're tightening the constrictor knot. This stuff with the wax in it, and the line itself is smooth to start with, the wax kind of lubricates it on the band, and it won't actually bite into the band itself. So that's kind of the key with the line. So we'll go ahead and tie our constrictor knot here. Now a typical constrictor knot, I like to take about 8 to 10 inches of tag on the end of the line. I'm going to kind of hold the line and the band in one hand, and we're going to start by wrapping away from ourselves, and we're going to wrap this line around the band once, and on the second time around we're going to make this X, so we're going to cross over the line. I'll show you that one more time. So we're taking our line with the tag end, wrapping away over the band, make the X like so. And now what we're going to do, we're going to get this main line out of the way. We're going to reach underneath and grab the tag line. This tag line is going to go around the main line and underneath the X wrap. And what we have here is a standard constrictor knot. We could tighten this, tie our band, and probably be just fine. But what I'm going to show you next is the same exact knot, but with one extra wrap on it. It's called a double constrictor. If I can get this guy off. I prefer the double constrictor knot. Not only do I think it holds better, but I think it actually tightens easier. Same setup. Right, we're going to take our tag line, we're going to wrap over the band once, we're going to cross, make our X, we're going to come back around and cross again. So now we have two crosses, and the same deal. We're going to get our main line out of the way, we're going to reach underneath, grab the tag line, we're going to go around the main line, and we're going to go underneath. We're going to go underneath both of those wraps this time instead of just the one. Now we have our constrictor knot tied right there. I'm going to snug it up just a little bit to hold it in place, but not too tight where I can't move it. And I'm just going to scooch that constrictor knot towards the end of the band, leaving about 1/8 of an inch of band material hanging off the end of the knot there. So that is where we're at. And I'm going to tighten that a little bit more right there just so it doesn't move. And from here, I'm going to head over to the vise and I'm going to tighten this guy up. I'm going to take the tag from my constrictor knot and put it right there in the end of the vise. Tighten that up. And this is going to let me wrap my line around my H needle a few times like that. And now I have a nice handle to pull against the vise. And we're going to tighten this guy up. So you can see that white wax coming out of the line. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of bounce that around a few times, twist the band a little bit, make sure all the wraps are lining up nicely. And that's all there is to it. That wax has lubricated everything, made sure our line's not biting into the band at all. From there, we're going to go ahead and cut these two tags. So we're going to cut them out just a little bit wider than the band itself so we can get a flame on it and melt that down in a second. So I'll cut this side as well. And there we have pretty much our tied band. That's one side of the band. Now I'm going to take my lighter and just melt these two tags off. Now you want to be careful. You don't want the flame of the lighter, let's see, make sure we're in focus here. You don't want the flame of the lighter to be touching the rubber at all. I kind of like to get the tag itself burning like it is right now. And then once it goes out, I'll kind of push it into itself, and that's going to snug everything up. So again, we're going to get a nice section of line here. Give yourself a decent amount of tag to work with. We're going to wrap around the band once, wrap around twice, move your main line out of the way, reach underneath, grab the tag, go around the main line and under your two wraps, and there is our beautiful constrictor knot. And there we have it, one tied band. Now once you got these tied, you can go ahead and pull these apart. That's going to pull all the excess line out from inside. There we have it, one spear gun band. That's pretty much all you need to know. That's the basics of making spear gun bands. Now there's a lot more that goes into it as far as what types of wishbones you can use, how to determine what length of band you're going to need for a particular length or type of spear gun. But we're going to dive into that in some future videos. Today, all we needed to know was how to tie this constrictor knot. That's going to be one of the most important features to any band that we're tying, as well as how to get this wishbone in there. So that's kind of the rundown. Quick and easy. If you have the tools that I have, it makes it a lot easier. But like I said, we're going to make videos in the future on how to do all kinds of different stuff. How to measure the bands, how to make wishbones, how to do this stuff on the fly in the boat when you don't have all these tools to do it. Anyway, thank you guys. Oh, hello. Thank you guys for watching this episode. Be sure to check the next ones out. We're going to be doing a bunch of this, kind of like the band tying masterclass, so to speak. We're starting with the basics. We're going to be moving our way all the way up into advanced, high level, high IQ band tying techniques. So be sure to stay tuned if you want to learn all about this kind of stuff. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.